of Goods Act. Happy birthday is when? 1st July 1930. So earlier this was a part of Contract Act, but in 1930 a new act was formed, and what provisions do we apply whenever sale of goods happen? The provisions given in Sale of Goods Act, correct? Agar kuch provision nahi hai, something that is not covered here, then we will apply what? Provisions of Contract Act. If it is covered under Contract Act as well as in Sale of Goods Act, what will you apply? Sale of goods. So specific provisions given in the Sale of Goods Act will always prevail over the provisions given in Contract Act, correct? Contract of sale is a wide term which includes sale as well as an agreement to sell. The definition of contract of sale is that where a seller transfers or agrees to transfer the property in goods to the buyer for a price, and contract of sale includes sale as well as agreement to sell. The essentials of contract of sale. First is there are two parties. There are at least two parties or only two parties? Only two parties. Who are they? Buyer and the seller. Who is a buyer? A person who buys or who agrees to buy. Who is a seller? Person who sells or agrees to sell. Next essential, there are goods. Goods are the subject matter of a contract of sale, and just goods nahi likhna hai, goods ka definition likhna hai, which we will see in few minutes. Next is what? There has to be transfer of property. Property means what? Ownership. Actually speaking, property is of two types, either general property or special property. Sale of Goods Act mein what is covered? General property, and the transfer of property can either be immediate or at a later date or subject to certain conditions. If it is immediate, it is called as sale. If it is at a later date or subject to certain conditions, is an agreement to sell, correct? I go to purchase a bag, I like a bag, I get the bag, I pay 5,000 rupees. What is this? This is a sale. Ownership has transferred immediately. I want to purchase an Activa, I book the Activa today. Delivery is going to be after 1 month. In this 1 month time, they are going to make the Activa. So they are future goods, right? Yaad aa raha hai? Yes. So over here, ownership will pass when? At a later date, that is after 1 month. So this is an agreement to sell, correct? My friend owns a shop, a gold shop. I get 3 necklaces from him. I am going to retain the one that mom likes. After mom chooses one, I am going to retain that. Return the balance 2 necklaces. Whichever necklace she chooses, ownership will pass for that necklace. So ownership is going to pass based on conditions. This also is going to be an agreement to sell, correct? So sale on approval basis or sale on return basis will always be agreement to sell, correct? Next one is what? There has to be a price. Price means what? Only money consideration. If goods are exchanged for goods, will that be a valid price? No, it will be a barter. Where the price involves partly money and partly goods, will that be allowed? Yes. And last one is what? Essential elements of valid contract. So all other essentials have to be satisfied. Clear? How many essentials of sale do we have? 5. What are they? 2 parties, goods, transfer of property, price, and okay. Next one, difference between sale and agreement to sell. So we learned it in a particular order. First point is transfer of property. Next 2 points are relating to Contract Act ka Unit 1. Next points are relating to 2 points with respect to performance. Next 2 points with respect to rights. And next 2 points with respect to insolvency. Correct? Now just talking about the differences. First is in case of sale we have immediate transfer of property there at a later date or subject to certain conditions. Next one, sale is executed contract, that is executory contract. This is just in rem, just in personam. Then liability is of the buyer for any subsequent loss. Jiska matlab risk of loss is with the buyer. In case of agreement, it is with the seller. Then 2 rights we have: right to sue for price. Correct? Can the seller sue for price in case of sale? Yes, he can. Why? Because ownership has passed to the buyer. He cannot do that in case of agreement to sell. Correct? And next one is what? Right of resale. Can the seller resell the goods now? No, because owner is the buyer. And in case of agreement to sell, seller can sell the goods. Right? And next is insolvency related 2 points we have. Buyer can be insolvent or seller is insolvent. If in case of sale, buyer is insolvent, then his official assignee can claim the goods. If the seller is insolvent, then official assignee of the Seller, can he claim the goods? No, because ownership is with the buyer. Correct? Ulta points for agreement. है ना? In simple words, whoever is the owner, he should have the goods. If he is insolvent, his official assignee should have the goods. In case of sale, that owner is the buyer. In case of agreement to sell, it is not the buyer, means it is the seller. Clear? Sale and hire purchase, are they different? Yes, hire purchase means what happens? First the goods are let on hire, and after that the along with that buyer will also have an option to purchase. Buyer nahi, sorry, hirer. He will have an option to purchase. Correct? Different points of distinction over here. Transfer of property in case of sale is immediate. Agreement, hire purchase is on the payment of last installment. Then immediate ho gaya hai, so buyer is now the owner. Hirer is not the owner. Correct? Then we have 2 points with respect to termination. Can the hirer terminate? Yes. Agar hirer terminate kar raha hai, to future installments is he bound to pay? No. Can the hire vendor terminate? Yes. And in that case, what he can do? Demand or take the goods back. Correct? Not possible. Not possible in case of sale. Right? And next 2 points are what? Right of resale. Can the buyer sell the goods in sale? Yes. And when he is selling it, that purchaser, will he get a valid bona fide title? Yes. In case of hire purchase, can the hirer sell the goods? No, because he is not yet the owner. Hai na? And in case he sells it, is the purchaser going to get a valid title? No. Clear? Ye kuch to tha. In this agreement, what happens? It includes an agreement under which possession is given to the hirer on a condition that he has to pay amount in monthly installments. Second point says the ownership will pass only on payment of last installment, and the person has got a right to terminate this agreement. Correct? Clear? Sale and bailment, are they same? No. Points of distinction is first is transfer of property happens in case of sale. In case of bailment, it does not. Next one, right to deal with, okay, consideration. In case of sale, there is a consideration. Bailment can be gratuitous or non-gratuitous. Correct? Next is right to deal with the goods. Does buyer have a right to deal with the goods in any way he wants to? Yes. So can the buyer purchase a dress and never wear it? Yes. In case of bailment, what should the bailee do? Use it only for the purpose for which it is given to him. Correct? And last difference is what? Returnable. In case of sale, the goods are not returnable. In case of bailment, they are compulsorily returnable. When you take notes from your friend, can you retain those notes? No. You have to give it back? Yes. Other than that, we have 2 more differences. Parties in sale are buyer, seller. There it is. Bailer, bailee, and the act governing is different. For sale, it is Sale of Goods Act, and for bailment, it is Contract Act. Correct? Contract for work and material, as the name says, it includes work as well as material. Means what is involved? Skill plus goods are involved. Correct? We don't cover it under sale because Sale of Goods Act covers only goods ka sale. Correct? Next one is subject matter of contract of sale is what? Goods. See and read the definition. Goods means every kind of movable property other than actionable claims and money, includes stocks and shares, growing crops, grass, things attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be severed before sale or under the contract of sale. Actionable claim means what? That claim on which an action can be taken. Right to receive money, is it an actionable claim? Yes. Can you transfer an actionable claim? Yes, by a process called as assignment. Process called as assignment. Can you sell an actionable claim? No. Money means what? Legal tender money does not include old rare coins and foreign currency. Which means if it is old rare coins and foreign currency, they are goods. Can I give you a 100 rupee note and purchase 100 rupees from you? No, this will be then barter only. Hai na? Money is not goods, right? Can we purchase the old coin, Vijayanagara Empire ka coin, by giving money right now? Yes, because it's a old and rare coin, right? We are going to Europe. Can we purchase euros? Yes, foreign currency are goods. They can be purchased and sold, right? What about growing crops? Can they also be sold? Yes, what about grass? Grass does not yield any fruits, vegetables. Can they be sold still? Yes, mango tree hai, बहुत बड़ा है, fixed in the ground है, 20 years का tree है. Can you sell that as well? Yes, will mango tree be treated as an immovable property here? No, even though it is attached to the land, it is agreed to be severed before sale. It is regarded as goods, right? So this iPad, can I sell it? Yes, are they goods? Matlab, yes, is phone goods? Yes, AC right now is attached to the wall which is attached to the building, to the land. Can I still sell this AC? Yes, why can I sell it? Because agreed to be severed before sale, correct? Can gas be sold? Yes, oxygen, electricity, water. Can this be sold? Yes. Can goodwill also be sold? Yes. What about partnership share? Yes. Company ka share also, yes. All these are valid movable properties. Clear? Okay. 3 types of classification of goods we have. What are they? Existing goods, future goods and contingent goods. Existing goods means they are owned or possessed by the seller at the time of sale. Which is of 3 types they are? Specific goods, ascertained goods and unascertained goods. Specific goods are identified when? At the time of sale. At the time of contract of sale. Ascertained goods are identified after the contract of sale. Unascertained goods are not identified. They form a part of a lot. And even though it seems like a sale of unascertained goods, it will be an agreement to sell. Because how can you have a sale of unascertained goods? Only by appropriation. By doing something. एक condition satisfy करके ही sale हो सकता है. So that condition is called as appropriation, right? Where I take the coconut and go and give it to the seller. Sorry, I had given David of coffee ka example, right? I take the coffee, I go and give this to the seller and we enter into contract of sale. This coffee is what? It is a specific goods. I tell the seller that I want coconut. 50 coconuts are kept. I want only 1 coconut. This 50 coconuts are unascertained goods. Out of that, when one is taken out and identified for the contract of sale, it is ascertained. This is ascertained by a process called appropriation. So where it is appropriated to this contract of sale, the goods are ascertained. Practically, specific and ascertained goods are one and the same. Even the provisions applicable are one and the same. Correct? Future goods are those goods which are not yet ready. They will be manufactured or produced. So can sale happen of the goods that are not ready? No, it will only be an agreement to sell. So even though it is a present sale of future goods, it will be an agreement to sell. Clear? Contingent goods means the acquisition by the seller depends upon contingency. Agar seller ko acquire hua hai, then seller will sell it to the buyer. If seller does not acquire it, he cannot sell it to the buyer. Correct? A agrees to buy all the crops that are grown on B's farm. This will be future goods. Agreement to sell, but future goods. Correct? And where the buyer says, I want a Picasso painting, seller says, I'll get the painting from the real owner and sell it to you. So seller may or may not get it. This painting will now be what? They are contingent goods. So contingent goods are a type of a future goods only. Future goods have to be manufactured, but contingent goods are ready. They will be acquired subject to certain conditions. It will be sold to the buyer. Clear? What happens when goods perish while you are entering into a contract or before entering into a contract? Agreement is void. If you have entered into an agreement to sell, but before sale is effected, the goods perish, then it becomes void. Buyer seller are sitting and entering into a contract for the cement that is outside in the lorry. It is raining and the cement becomes rock hard. What has happened now? Goods have perished. This contract is void. Correct? Seller and buyer enter into a contract right now for sale of car after 15 days. In this intervening period, the car is destroyed. The agreement becomes void. But these provisions are applicable only if the goods are specific or ascertained goods. If they are unascertained goods, it will not become void. It will remain valid. Buyer asks for 10 kgs of wheat. Seller says, I have 100 kgs in the godown. I will send it by evening. And now the godown catches fire. All the wheat is destroyed. What about this contract? It remains valid because the goods are not specific. The goods are unascertained. Correct? What about future goods? Where future goods perish because of a supervening impossibility. Future goods are not ready. Agar wo perish ho gaya, then what about the contract? That also becomes void. A agrees to purchase 10 kgs of potatoes and there is a rain, potatoes didn't grow, crop is destroyed. What about this contract now? It has become void. Is this clear? Yes? Okay. Just quickly, ho jayega, 5 minutes. Ascertainment of price. Price means what? Money consideration. Price means money or money is what? True or false? False. Price means money consideration only. Price has to be expressed in money. If it is only goods, it's not a valid price. Partly money, partly goods is an allowed price. There are 3 ways to fix a price, or ascertainment of price can happen in 3 ways. First is fixed by the contract itself, or left to be fixed in an agreed manner, or determined by course of dealings between the parties. 100 kgs of sugar at 30 rupees per kg. Price is fixed by the contract. Whatever will be the price as determined by the mechanic, this is left to be fixed in an agreed manner. Market price will be course of dealings, or manufacturing cost plus 5% is also course of dealings. Correct? Can a third party fix the price? Yes. If third party does not fix the price, then the contract becomes void. Correct? Third party, seller has got 3 cars. Buyer agrees to take all the 3 cars. The price to be fixed by the mechanic. Mechanic is on vacation right now, not reachable. Buyer says, anyway, I'm going to take the cars. Give me 1 car until he comes and fixes the price. Once he fixes the price, I will give all of this. Okay? The mechanic comes back, refuses to fix the price. What about the contract now? The 2 cars which are with the seller, contract becomes void. That 1 car which is with the buyer, buyer will have to pay a reasonable price. Seller prevents the mechanic from fixing the price. Buyer can sue and claim damages. Buyer prevents mechanic from fixing the price. Seller can sue, seller can claim damages. Correct? One sentence I didn't cover. Agar price is not determined at the time of entering into a contract, will we treat as the terms being uncertain and contract is void? No, contract will remain valid because Sale of Goods Act says in absence, the buyer has to pay a reasonable price. So, price may not be fixed at the time of entering into a contract, but it should be payable. Correct? We had underlined this as well. It should be payable, though it is not fixed. Right? Now, answer this quickly. Stipulations relating to time of payment means they are not relating to delivery of goods, means time is not of the essence, and agar iska breach hua, what you can do? Only claim damages. Correct? If stipulations are not relating to time of payment, means they are relating to delivery of goods, and iska agar breach hua, what you can do? Resign and claim damages. So put an end to the contract and claim damages. Detailed explanation was time is of the essence in Contract Act. Correct? Then document of title to goods means whoever is the bearer or the possessor, he is treated as if he has got control over the goods. Where our mom gives the dresses for dry cleaning, the receipt is made in the mom's name. Correct? But can we go and get the goods back? Yes, we can, because whoever has that receipt is treated as if he is the owner. Correct? So this is a bearer document, document of a title to goods. Document showing title means what? जिसका नाम लिखा हुआ है, that person only is the owner. Even if it is held by many different people, they are not treated as the owner. Share certificate is what? Document showing title. My name is written on share certificate. Even though you are holding the certificate, do you have a right on that certificate? No, because it is not document of title, it is document showing title. I have a pizza coupon where I buy 2 pizzas, I get 1 free. I know I'm not going to have that pizza. Can I transfer this to anybody? Yes. Do I have to make any document to transfer it? No. How can I transfer it? Only by delivery. Document of title to goods can be negotiated. How? By just a delivery. Correct? Some documents require endorsement and delivery, which we'll discuss in Negotiable Instruments Act. This chapter is over, right? Ye bill of lading, doc warrant, all of these are what? They are all document of title to goods. Clear? So conditions and warranties. What do you mean by conditions? Something that is essential to the main purpose of the contract. What do you mean by warranty? Something that is only collateral to the main purpose. If there is a breach of condition, then what can you do? Resign the contract and claim damages. Correct? Resign or repudiate or cancel or even get a refund of the price means this only in Sale of Goods Act. Correct? So repudiate the contract and claim damages. In case there is a breach of warranty, what you can do? Only and only claim damages. Correct? The buyer goes and tells the seller, I want a good car, and this car gives only 5 liters mileage. Or another situation where the buyer goes and tells, I want a car which is giving 20 kilometers per liter mileage. Now in the second case, giving that mileage will be a condition, and in the first case it will only be a warranty. Correct? Whether it is a condition or a warranty, it depends upon the construction of the contract and the intention of the parties. We cannot be carried away only by the wordings of the contract. We also need to see what is the intention, right? When you treat a condition as a warranty, what is the buyer doing basically? He is losing his right to resign the contract. Means what he is going to do is only claim damages or not even claim the damages, correct? But can he cancel the contract now? No. And this will happen in how many cases? 3 cases. What are the cases? First is voluntary waiver of condition. Second, compulsory waiver of condition. And last, impossibility. Technically it's only 2 points, but anyway 3 points are once again. First is voluntary waiver of condition, compulsory waiver of condition, and third is impossibility. In voluntary waiver, where the factory owner says he wants the coal on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, if the coal is not supplied, the laborers in the factory are going to sit idle. So supply of coal over here is a condition. If suppose the coal supplier supplies it at 12 o'clock, what right does the factory owner have? He can resign the contract, correct? But do you think he will resign the contract? No, businessmen are very practical. He waives this condition. He accepts the coal at 12 o'clock as well, correct? What he can do then? He can claim damages, right? What will be the damages? So many people had asked. So see, if there is any loss cost to the factory owner, those will be the damages. So just for example, 10 o'clock ko coal aane wala hai. That's why the factory owner had called a few people, a few laborers to unload this coal. These laborers are sitting idle for 2 hours. Will they still be charging the money? Of course. So that can be claimed from the coal supplier, correct? Compulsory waiver will occur if these 2 conditions are satisfied. First is the goods are not separable, and next is buyer has accepted a part thereof, correct? So where the buyer has ordered for 100 computers, 80 computers, perfect, jaisa manga hai waisa hi the buyer has got. In the other 20 computers, few monitors are not okay, few mouse are not okay, few keyboards are not okay. In this case, can the buyer cancel the contract? No, he cannot. He can claim damages. So here damages can be just replacement of these parts, right? Now where we are talking about a whole computer, even though mouse is separable, keyboard is separable, we will still treat it as a entire non-separable contract, okay? Also, whenever goods are sold in lots, like 100 computers, if it is one lot, even though you can separate the items, it will still be treated as if they are not separable, okay? So in this case, even a breach of condition will be treated as breach of warranty. And the last case is impossibility, where it is impossible due to supervening impossibility. It's impossible to perform the contract. What can the buyer do? Is nothing. Can he even claim damages? Is nothing. Seller can rely that the contract was impossible and it has now become a void contract, correct? There are how many differences between conditions and warranties? 3 differences. First is what? This is essential, that is only collateral. Next is, in case of breach, what can you do? Condition, repudiate and claim damages. In case of warranty, only claim damages. And last case, you can treat a breach of condition as a breach of warranty, but cannot treat breach of warranty as a breach of condition. So see, condition is more important, warranty is less important. Though it is important, it is still less important. A more important thing you can treat as a less important thing. Less important thing you cannot treat as a more important thing. Okay, does that apply for our preparation as well? Idea nahi hai? Prepare ही नहीं करे, एक थप्पड़ मिलेगा. Okay, enough. You think later. Okay, express and implied conditions and warranties. How many express conditions do we have? 7. How many implied? Sorry. Express I asked. How many implied conditions do we have? 7. How many implied warranties do we have? 4. Express conditions are those which are agreed to by the parties at the time of sale, correct? Certain conditions are free may attach to a contract of sale and they are called as implied conditions. The first condition is what? Condition as to title. It means that buyer is presuming that the seller has got a title. If it is a sale and if it is an agreement to sell, then he will get a title, correct? Ye wordings, are you getting it? In case of agreement to sell, ownership is going to be passed later. So, tab tak the seller is going to get a title, right? Whenever we go to purchase anything, do we ask the seller, ye chori ka maal hai kya? Do we ask this? No. Imagine you are going to Tanishq showroom and asking this, ye necklace I want to purchase, sach mein bata, chori ka maal hai kya? Do we ask this? No, we don't. Why we don't? Because it's an implied condition. The fact that he is selling it over there, it means he has got a title, right? Many examples we discuss. One particular example, that condensed milk, yes, TV example as well, okay. Condensed milk example as well. So, in case of condensed milk, M brand was the name of the brand. That's why the buyer paid more and he purchased it. But later on, it turned out to be infringement of that brand. So, what he had to do is remove the stickers and sell it, correct? So, where he had to remove the stickers and sell it, does that mean that the seller had a title to sell this? No, seller ke paas title nahi tha, correct? So, what can the buyer do is, he can resign the contract, correct? If he chooses not to resign, which is also possible, in that case, he is not going to resign, he will only claim damages. N brand could have been sold at 500 rupees because it is no brand anymore. It can be sold only at 300 rupees. The buyer sells it at 300 rupees and claims 200 as damages, correct? We had written this in warranties as well. I had linked it over here. Yaad aa raha hai? Okay, next one, sale by description. Means what? Whenever goods are sold by description, the goods should always correspond to the description. Where you buy a rose flower, the seller cannot sell you a cauliflower. Correct? Yaad aaya ye? Okay, now in this case, if the goods do not correspond to the description, is the buyer bound to accept the goods? No. Can he not accept the goods then? Yes. If he had already paid the price, can he get a refund of the price? Yes. And any other damages can be claimed as well. Correct? Now, in case of description, description does not, the description word is not defined. So, it means it can be any class or kind of goods. It can have any certain characteristics or any even representation or a reference can be made that will be regarded as if it is description. Java sugar, where a type of sugar has been specified, this is a description, correct? A woolen sweater, woolen is specified, this also can be a description, okay? Then sale by description can include these three situations. Pehle examples bolo kya hai? Reaping machine ka example, then antique vase example, and last one is gulab jamun example. Okay, now tell the wordings. Reaping machine. First case, what has happened? Buyer has not seen the goods, but he relies on what the seller tells. Next one, buyer has seen the goods, but does not rely on what he sees. He relies on what the seller tells, and the deviation is not apparent. And last case is where method of packing is specified, correct? Buyer wants to purchase a reaping machine. The seller tells this reaping machine is a new one. It is used only for 1 month and only on 10 acres of land. Buyer relies on it. Buyer purchases it. After purchase, buyer realizes it is at least 5 years old and used for 100 acres of land. Buyer had not seen the goods. He relied on what the seller told him, correct? Next one is buyer goes to the seller and tells he wants a 14th century antique flower vase. The seller supplies him with a 15th century vase. Buyer dekh raha hai, but can he exactly know whether it is 14th or 15th century? No. So deviation is not apparent. If the goods are not 14th century, what can the buyer do then? Resign and claim damages. Last case, I wanted 10 kgs of gulab jamun to be packed as 1 kg in each box. If the seller has packed it as 10 kg single box, can I resign the contract? Yes, because it is not as per description. Method of packing was specified, correct? So, reaping machine, antique flower vase, and last is gulab jamun, right? Next one is what? Sale by sample. So when goods are sold by sample, how many conditions to be satisfied? 3 conditions. First one is what? The bulk should correspond to the sample. Second, buyer should be given a reasonable opportunity to compare the bulk with the sample. And last one is, the goods have to be free from any latent defect. I want to purchase rice. I go to the shop. He shows me 5 samples. I choose a particular rice. I tell him, yes, I want 10 kgs of this rice. So 10 kgs when he is packing, it should be exactly that particular rice only, correct? I tell him, have you packed it? I just want to see it once. Can he tell me, no, I'll put it in your car, you go off directly. Can he tell that? No, because I have a right to inspect these goods, correct? Rice dikhne mein zabardast hai, but when I take it to the mill and after the rice is turned into a flour, it is extremely bitter. Normally, should rice flour be bitter? No, so this is extremely bitter. Can I cancel the contract? Yes, sir, because the goods had got a latent defect. If the goods have an apparent defect and the buyer purchases the goods, there is a breach of which condition? No condition. It means the buyer wanted exactly that only. Okay? So if there is an apparent defect, buyer should not purchase it at all. But if there is a latent defect, even after use, can the buyer return the goods? Yes, because that is what when he is going to know that the goods had a defect. Correct? Next one is sale by sample as well as description. I go to the shop and tell I want basmati rice, where he shows me 5 different samples and I choose one particular sample. So the bulk has to correspond to the sample. So whatever description was given, that should be corresponding, and whatever sample was chosen, the bulk should correspond with that as well. So where goods are sold by sample as well as description, the bulk has to correspond with both the sample as well as with description. He is giving me exactly that sample, but I don't know, and it is not basmati rice. So in this case, description comply nahi hua hai, but since description and sample both are applying at once, we are applying this 4th condition. We are not applying description ka separate and sample ka separate condition. Technically it's the same, but the wordings are different, that there is a breach of condition as to description as well as sample, right? Sunflower oil ka example I had given probably. Yes, refined sunflower oil, it was mixed with some other oil as well, hai na? It was not a pure refined sunflower oil. Can the buyer reject the goods? Yes, he can. Clear? Next one is what? There is no condition as to quality or fitness. So why there is no condition as to quality or fitness is because which rule applies? Caveat emptor applies. Let the buyer beware. If a bad choice is made by the buyer, who will be responsible? Buyer only will be responsible. But in these cases, seller will be responsible if the buyer relies on the seller's skill and judgment. Okay, first case, the buyer has expressly told the purpose, stated the purpose. Second case, buyer relies on the skill and judgment of the seller. And third is where seller deals with goods of that description. Technically speaking, all the exceptions that we read of caveat emptor will apply over here, correct? In these 2 cases, seller is not going to be liable. Those 2 cases are, firstly, buyer suffers from an abnormality which is not made known to the seller, and second case, buyer purchases the goods only with a trade name or a brand name, correct? Buyer asks for a sweater that keeps him warm. Seller gives a woolen sweater. Woolen se buyer ko allergy hai. He does not tell this to the seller. Is seller responsible? Not responsible. There is a buyer who goes to a pharmacy. He asks for Complan. Purchases Complan. Has it. His height does not increase. Is the pharmacy vendor, that fellow the seller, is he responsible? He is not responsible because buyer purchased the goods with a trade name. Clear? Where goods have got a single purpose, do we have to expressly tell him why we are using it? No. The old man purchases a set of teeth. Should he tell I want the teeth to bite? No. Obviously he is purchasing for that only, and if that does not solve the purpose, who will be responsible? Seller will be responsible. Correct? Then condition as to merchantability. Merchantability means what? Commercially saleable and fit for the purpose for which they are generally used. Buyer purchases a pen. The pen does not write. Can the buyer sign the contract? Yes, because pen का purpose क्या है? To write. Can the seller tell? You didn't tell me why you wanted the pen. Can he tell like that? No, because the goods have to be commercially saleable and fit for the purpose for which they are generally used. Correct? This condition, two conditions to be satisfied over here. First is goods to be bought by description, and second is the seller should be the dealer of those goods. Right? Buyer has purchased a fridge. Fridge does not cool. Can the buyer sign the contract? Yes. Again, can the seller tell that he did not tell the fridge was for cooling? Can he tell like that? No, this is not a valid ground which the seller is using, because the goods have to be merchantable. Clear? And last condition is what? Condition as to wholesomeness. This applies when the goods are eatable. So when the goods are uneatable, two conditions will apply. Not only wholesomeness, but also merchantability. Clear? These were implied conditions. Now we have implied warranties. How many do we have? 4. What are they? First is warranty as to undisturbed possession. Next is warranty as to non-existence of encumbrance. Next one, warranty as to quality of fitness by usage of trade. And last is warranty to disclose dangerous nature in the goods. The buyer has purchased the television from the seller after few years. Purchased the radio from the seller. After few months, the police comes and recovers that radio, says that ye chori ka tha. Z, the true owner, wants to demand it back. Now, in this case, if the buyer had spent 500 rupees on the radio, can he claim this as damages? Yes, he can. Next one, freedom from encumbrance means some other party has got a right on these goods, right? So, where a two-wheeler was taken on a loan, buyer can technically sell it. If buyer is selling it, the buyer of the vehicle wants to sell it, so he is the seller now. So where he is selling the goods, he should inform the other purchaser that there is a charge on this two-wheeler. If he does not inform, bank can take off that two-wheeler from that buyer as well. So the other buyer will not be able to use the two-wheeler as he wants to, correct? So if there is any charge or any encumbrance, that should be informed clearly, right? Next one is what? Warranty by usage of trade. So auction sale ka example. In that particular auction sale, there was a specific rule that whenever goods are sea damaged, it has to be clearly disclosed. Normally, every seller will disclose whenever there is a sea damage, but one seller does not disclose it. Buyer purchases the goods, later on realizes that there was a sea damage. What can the buyer do now? He can claim damages, because this was by usage of trade that everybody just followed this rule, correct? And last one is what? Disclose dangerous nature of goods. Any goods to be used in any particular way should be specifically told to the buyer. If it is not told and there is some loss occurring to the buyer, for that loss, the seller will be liable, correct? Example kya tha ye? Disinfectant can. So disinfectant can, when this buyer was opening, he opened it seeing like this, everything went into his eyes and he had to undergo 2-3 surgeries. Can these surgeries kharcha be claimed from the seller? Yes, because the tin had to be opened in a particular way, not like this. It was not written or not informed by the seller, correct? So that is the reason why even any face wash, shampoo, anything that we take, on that will be written, if it goes into your eyes, rinse. Hai na? And if the irritation persists, consult a doctor, correct? Okay. Caveat emptor. Caveat emptor means what? Let the buyer beware. We had by-hearted a few sentences here. First one is what? Let the buyer beware. Ye to correct hai. Next sentence is what? The seller is not responsible for bad selection of the buyer. Next is, seller is not bound to disclose the defects in the goods which he is selling, correct? Does this align with Contract Act as well? Yes or no? Yes, it does. Contract Act mein kya provision similar? Silence. Does it amount to fraud? No. So is the seller bound to disclose any defects? Not bound to disclose. Then 2-3 sentences buyer related. First is what? Duty of the buyer to satisfy himself before buying the goods whether the goods will serve his purpose or not. And if the goods turn out to be defective or not suiting his purpose, he only will be liable, seller will not be responsible. But we have certain exceptions. In those exceptions, who will be liable? Seller will be liable, correct? we read it in a particular order. First one we read it in the conditions ka order. So first exception is what? Sale by description. Next is sale by sample. Next is sale by sample as well as description. Next is no condition related 2 points. First is relying on the skill and judgment of the seller, and next is brand name or trade name. Correct. And next few more are what? You say merchantability. Correct. Sorry. Then next is usage of trade, and last is where the consent is obtained by fraud. So seller actively conceals the defect or is guilty of fraud. Orange juicer will give sweet orange juice karke he sells it to the buyer. It does not depend upon the juicer whether the juice will be sweet or no. Buyer does not know this. Seller usko aisi pagal banakar chipka diya. So in this case, can the buyer cancel the contract? Yes. Seller took the consent of the buyer by fraud. Correct. Once again, tell the exceptions. See, you remember in any order that you want to. वो conditions anyway अपने को याद हो गया था. That is why we were trying to remember in that order. So first exception is what? Sale by description, sale by sample, then sale by sample as well as description, then no quality and fitness के 2 points. First is relying on the skill and judgment of the seller. Next is trade name or brand name. Next one is merchantability. Next two are usage of trade, and last is obtaining the consent by fraud. Correct. Relying on skill and judgment of the seller. We didn't discuss the example over there, but this was the cooler example. Correct. Buyer takes a nice sleek cooler. Room thanda nahi ho raha hai. Is the seller responsible? No. Buyer tells the seller, my room is 30 feet by 30 feet and it's a penthouse, peak summer. Afternoon में cool होना चाहिए. Now the seller suggests a desert cooler, a huge cooler. अगर वो कूलर ठंडा नहीं कर रहा है, can buyer cancel the contract now? Yes, he can. So he is relying on the skill and judgment of the seller. Is this clear, everybody? Compulsorily, caveat emptor, all the exceptions have to be learnt by heart. Is this clear? Okay.